This is from a longer piece called The Accident. 3 days passed before a report of the accident appeared in the newspapers. Gabriel Day, 18, killed on December 9th by a hit-and-run driver on Montauk Highway in Amagansett, New York. His mother, Nuala Day, survives him, and that was all. No mention that the accident happened in front of Henry Reed's Long Island estate. No mention that Nuala Day was Cherie and Henry Reed's housekeeper for 25 years and that Nuala and Gabriel made their home there. No reference to everything that happened after Gabriel's death. All of it, the delay in reporting, the scant detail, the placement of the article buried toward the back, was the result of James's handiwork, I had no doubt. But by then I had put together the whole story. Of course, I had started with some information no one outside the family knew, but those involved would be surprised to learn who talked to me. Or maybe not, because in the end, almost everyone did. Reese Whitfield, who witnessed the accident, stood guard over the scene until the police and EMT had gone. The other men salted, shoveled, set up flares, anything they could do to help the officials. Paul Partridge, a physician, sedated Nuala. She slept, temporarily protected from her grief, in her room down the hall off the kitchen, which the women then commandeered, doing as their mothers and grandmothers had done whenever local tragedy called for a night watch. If Nuala had been conscious, she would have chased them out. No one so much as got a glass of water from the faucet in Nuala Day's kitchen. Close to 2 a.m., Sergeant Joe McGowan told George Murphy, who had been directing traffic since 9, to go inside and warm up. Cass Ealing took Officer Murphy's oilskin coat. Pamela Bird insisted he stow his holster on the top pantry shelf. Louisa Partridge sat him at the kitchen table with a bowl of soup and a hot ham sandwich. One by one, the other men joined Officer Murphy, except for Sergeant McGowan, who left with the forensic team and its evidence. Broken glass from a headlamp, tire tread casts, photos of the scene. That should make it easier to identify the car, Bill Emerson said. Nothing's going to be easy about this, Cass Ealing said. It was an accident. Let's not make it out to be more than that, Louisa Partridge said. But was it a random accident? Asked Pamela Bird. An accident by definition is random, Louisa said. An accident by definition is unintentional, Pamela said. But what pulled Gabriel out in front of that particular car at that particular moment? If it had been a different car, would he have run into the road? If not, that would make it an accident but not a random accident. Did you see the car? Eleanor Whitfield asked her husband. I told Joe it was all so fast. Reese lowered his shaking hands to his lap. I must have, but I can't remember. Frank Holliday, the oldest among them, shifted in his chair and averred that it was understandable given the circumstances. I heard it, though, Reese said. He was stringing Christmas lights through the pickets at his property line along Further Lane when he heard a big engine. First he thought it was a plane coming out of Montauk, but 5 minutes later he was stringing lights along Indian Wells by then. He could still hear the sound, a heavy, reverberating growl, growing louder steadily. So he walked out to Route 27, right across from the Reed estate. And from there he could see a wash of light moving in a long arc against the night sky. The engine roared like a jet, accelerating out of a curve. The headlights swung off the horizon, full beams bearing down on the road. Gabriel appeared out of nowhere, no shoes, no coat, running toward the sound, arms straight, palms up like stop signs. The car came into view sideways, braking hard as Jesus, gears crashing, everything red in the brake lights. Gabriel flew up and back, traveling with the car, which righted and passed his trajectory, finally stopping as he fell. and then it was gone. So that particular car drew him out, Pamela Beard said. How many cars have an engine that big you can hear it 10 miles away? Trev Ealing asked Beale Emerson. Sounds to me like an E-type, Preston Bird said. Everyone in the room knew that Henry had a 61 E-type. Beale had tried to buy it from him on several occasions. What are you saying, that Henry Reed wouldn't stop if he hit a man? Frank Holliday was out of his chair. This is just slander. We're sitting in the man's house and you're accusing him of killing that boy? Frank shoved past the crowd around the table to stand against the Sub-Zero. Maybe the boy was just waiting for a ride, for any ride. You don't goddamn know what kind of car it was, but I can tell you it wasn't Henry Reed. He loved that boy. Besides, Beale said, Henry came upon the accident on his way back to the city in the Rolls. He was with his man, James something, or something James, and a younger woman. James Waring is his man, Preston Bird said. PR, branding, that sort of thing. The woman was Cherie's aunt. No, it was a younger woman. All I know is they call her Aunt Dorothy. They were both here for that fundraiser for... Here Preston Bird broke off, not wanting to say AIDS in front of Frank. I saw her, said Susan Holliday, tonight at the benefit, the cerebral palsy event at the Montauk Lighthouse. Cherie Reed walked in with that James person and a young woman. Frank was shaking his big head like a wet dog working water out of his ears. Susan ignored him. We go every year. Frank's sister's daughter. Anyway, about 45 minutes later, Henry came in with a man, a handsome man. Him I didn't know. But they must have had 2 cars. Cherie left first with the handsome man. Henry and the others after that. So who was the handsome man? Betty Emerson said. More to the point, said Susan Holliday. Who was the handsome man with? Cherie or Henry? Shut up, woman. The Sub-Zero rocked as Frank lunged at his wife, but Officer Murphy reached him first and dragged him into Reed's study. Sounds of a fight drew the other men in. Susan Holliday was corralled by the women upstairs, where she fought their commiseration, which they were determined to administer. An hour later, Cass Ealing slipped downstairs to make a fresh pot of coffee. While it brewed, she rested her head on her arms at the kitchen table. Something niggled at her. She tried to identify it, but in an instant she was asleep. If she had just opened one eye, even with her head still resting on her arm, she might have noticed the kitchen table was spotless. Or managed to sit up, she might have registered the upturned chairs righted, the soup tureen gleaming on the drying rack, the floor mopped and shining, Neula's bedroom door ajar, which might have led her to look for Officer Murphy's holster on the top pantry shelf. That she would have found, but not his gun. Thank you.